Back here on HQ Spotlight, the Seahawks 49ers, they meet again, this time in the divisional round, but their quarterback, Sam Darnold, he's dealing with an oblique injury he sustained on Thursday. He said he felt a little something. Maybe we should be concerned?
Feel good. Yeah, obviously, just in routes on air, just kind of felt a little something in my oblique. Just didn't want to push it. Wasn't the day to push it, so that was it. So just came inside, got some rehab, and feel like I'll be ready to go for Saturday.
That was just today that happened?
Yeah.
You ever had anything, oblique issues or anything?
No, never had oblique issues, but it's fun. We'll attack it the next couple days and be ready to go for Saturday.
Didn't know that could be fun, but the QB says he'll be okay. Hey, Evan, this matchup should not disappoint, and I know you'll be at that game. So Darnold saying he'll be okay despite being listed as questionable. Should the Seahawks be worried, and how comfortable are they? Should they have to turn to Plan B?
Well, I think Plan B's not a situation they want to kind of think about right now, even though Drew Lock did get a majority of the reps there in practice on Thursday because Sam Darnold dealt with the oblique injury. Look, I think it's concerning because it's an area of the body that is under heavy duress throughout a football game when you're throwing the ball. When you think about the rotation of your hips and how that impacts your abdominal area and your obliques as we dive into the anatomy. And I think it's more of a situation of how will you hold up over the course of 4 quarters in what should be an extremely physical game, and you're going to need to make some big-time throws to beat the 49ers. The one luxury they do have, and actually I would say there's multiple luxuries for Sam Darnold, it's not all on his shoulders. Offensively, I would say the driving force to this unit and what they've been able to do over the course of this season has been their run game. And you look back to the last meeting in Week 18 against San Francisco, they ran for 180 yards. They passed for 181 yards. I mean, it is the running game of Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker that I think is the strength and the anchor of this offense. And then on the other side, they have a defense that I think could win them a Super Bowl. So you want Sam Darnold to be healthy to make those, I'd say, 3 to 5 big-time throws over the course of the game, but he's not going to need to chuck it 50 times and really put a lot of pressure on that oblique for them to win.
Well, that's good news, and their defense also shouldering a lot of the load. They've got a top 10 passing defense, top 5 run defense, and they're a group that's only allowed around 17 points per game this season, first in the league. Are we saying the Legion of Boom is back?
But they'll call themselves, Tiffany, the dark side. The Legion of Boom was of yesteryear. They have a new moniker, and man, they bring it. There are similarities, and I would say the personality and characteristics of the Legion of Boom, but make no mistake, this is a different defense with different stars. And they have arguably all pros, and some are listed as all pros at all 3 levels. Leonard Williams up front, Ernest Jones at that linebacker position, Devin Witherspoon, and then the guy who I love to watch the most is Nicky Manwari. The rookie, I think, has been the game changer this season and taken this unit year 2 under Mike McDonald to allow them to do a lot of the things he did in Baltimore when they were at their best. Kyle Hamilton, Nicky Manwari playing that big nickel position. They don't have to change a lot of personnel. They do what they do. They do it really well. They swarm to the ball, and they're extremely physical. And then they get the benefit, too, Tiffany, of playing at home in a playoff game. This is the first time the 12s have had a playoff game with full capacity in 9 years. 2017. Remember 2020 when they played that season? They had a home game, no fans in the stands. So it's going to be loud for Brock Purdy and company. That only allows this defense to feast even more.
Yeah, not a lot compares to that atmosphere. Looking at the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan, he has 9 career wins in 5 playoff appearances. He's just one win shy, of tying Bill Walsh and George Seifert. He's had to coach and adapt to injuries. I mean, he's done a remarkable job. Can you give us some more insight into how he's put himself into this position?
Well, look, he's been born to do this in a lot of ways. He grew up in the business with his dad. And the thing that's impressed me most watching Kyle Shanahan from afar the last few seasons, but really this year, he came into this league as the offensive mastermind. And a lot of that still exists. And that was kind of the case early in his head coaching tenure in San Francisco. But I think what we're seeing now with this year, with the amount of injuries, as you listed, that they've had on both sides of the ball, now they have to do it without George Kittle. He goes down with that Achilles. That this team hasn't lost any faith, and they're resilient. I mean, that's the word that comes up when you think about San Francisco in the 2025 season. And that starts with that culture word, and that really is rooted in what Kyle Shanahan has created. John Lynch deserves a ton of credit as well. I think Robert Saleh being back in the building also helps, but I would argue this has been his best season as a head coach in San Francisco, and they might lose in the divisional round. And this is an organization under Kyle Shanahan that's been at the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah, they have. And let's key back in on the injuries for the 49ers. You mentioned George Kittle. He was the latest to go down. And receiver Ricky Pearsall is dealing with a knee injury and an ankle injury. He's questionable. How much of an impact does his presence mean to this team?
It's big time. I think when you look at this offense, it's so heavily on the shoulders of Christian McCaffrey. I mean, the numbers are jarring when you look at his scrimmage yards in comparison to the next guy. I think it's Juwan Jennings. It goes from in the 2000s to 600. So having a guy like Ricky Pearsall in the lineup, look, he's been banged up all season long. That knee, that PCL injury has really hampered him. But it sounds like he was questionable last week and felt like maybe he was trending in the right direction. Well, another week of rest, didn't play in that Eagles game. It sounds like he'll be able to go in this one. And he offers something else in the passing game as a wide receiver that gives San Francisco opportunities at explosive plays. When they have explosive plays, this is when this offense is different. And you look back to Week 18, that was something they really didn't have outside of one big play for George Kittle. So if Ricky Pearsall is in there, I think that's a big deal. I mean, he was big in Week 1 when they did beat Seattle on the road there at Lumen Field.
All right, well, these teams, since you mentioned in their Week 18, they've seen each other just, 2 weeks ago, I mean. Evan, what are some of the lessons learned on maybe both sides of this game, maybe with the 49ers first?
Well, top of the screen right there, just what defensively Seattle was able to do against this San Francisco offense, holding them to their fewest total, not just of the season, that's the fewest total since the first game of Kyle Shanahan's tenure as head coach in San Francisco. I think there's some aspects baked into that. No Trent Williams, no Ricky Pearsall, as we mentioned. It was their third game, San Francisco's, in 13 days. Now you could say, look, quick turnaround once again. They just played Sunday evening on the road. Now they go on the road 6 days later. But I do think they're in a better position now with the context of that game as well. But I think it comes down to their ability to be able to scheme up, and we saw that with the Juwan Jennings pass to Christian McCaffrey, kind of the trick plays to scheme up some explosive. San Francisco needs that offensively. And can this defense under Robert Saleh have another game like they had in Philadelphia? I really think that was the biggest part of their win in the wild card round that they'll need, and the biggest takeaway maybe from Week 18, that defense, despite all their injuries, really stepped up in a big stage, and I think they'll need to do that again Saturday night there in Seattle.
They've been a fun group to watch. Speaking of watching, Evan, what matchup are we looking for in this playoff edition of this matchup?
Well, I touched on both of these, let's say, sides of the ball, and specific to Christian McCaffrey, as much as Brock Purdy really has to orchestrate all of this offensively for San Francisco, his number 1, 2, and 3 option in a lot of cases is CMC. And his totals all year have been in really the MVP caliber world. And now he goes up against the Seattle defense that's been able to keep him in check in some of their meetings. And it's because of what they have up front, Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, and then Ernest Jones. And we touched about the fact that really Seattle, their front seven is fierce. And how are they going to find ways for Christian McCaffrey to impact this game? Because I do think without George Kittle, they're going to need him to, if it's possible, to do even more. And I think that's really where my attention is going to be early in this one. Do they have Christian McCaffrey bottled up, or is he able to make some of the game-changing plays they need from him for them to advance to an NFC title game once again?
If anyone can do it, you would think he'd be the guy that they can definitely lean on, as they have in the past. Evan, thanks so much for letting us lean on you and the great insight breaking it all down. All right, on to the odds to win the NFC Championship. Seahawks have the best right now. We'll see how it all plays out this weekend.